If you could imagine yourself standing in a stream up to your waist, all of humanity, more or less, most people standing in a stream of murky water that's flowing by them up to their waist. They can't see their legs through the murky water. All they can see is their reflection in the murky water. Currently, lower chakral tribal energy flow dynamics operate a bit like that, meaning that the flowing water of the tribal consensus consciousness influencing energies, along with our family karmic energies, are defining for most people what they think, what they feel, where they can go, what decisions they can make, how they interpret life and relational process and collaborative potential moment by moment by moment at these subconscious levels. So for example, if it's all right to mention, an energy, this is not you, this is an energy that attempts to influence your right knee process from the masculine consensus consciousness. It says you will never be able to change anything and nothing should ever change. Do those words make sense?
Yes.
So if you were walking against the current in a stream of the collective tribal unconsciousness, attempting to take food and water or materials for shelter to someone who is in pain and suffering, does it make sense that these tribalized energies, along with their associated inertia, have zero interest in that occurring?
Yeah.
So all of us, to the degree that we are in a way swimming against the tide, walking against the current. The for-profit, competitive, tribalized, taprootified world wants the status quo retained. It wants the Titanic to hit the iceberg because it assumes that that's a necessary dynamic, whether for evolutionary purposes as a species, or to keep the status quo, or to keep people unconscious and asleep at the wheel so that we don't swerve away and thus remain unconscious and feed on ourselves, feed on each other, feed on the planet, and as an end unto itself. So we can, in our upper chakras, we can listen to a podcast, we can have a meditation, we can participate in a meeting, we can shift out significantly out of phase from perhaps even the root chakra up with that collective ego-identified tribal subconscious brutal predatory opportunistic taprootified historical traditional culture and past of humanity. We can feel very good about these processes and not fully ground that knowledge, understanding, insight, wisdom, and consciousness in all levels of our system. So we've used this statement before: you can't go where your feet won't take you. So if your feet are chained or manacled subconsciously, unconsciously, or invisibly to you, if you're standing in that stream of water and you're chained in place by beliefs, tribal orientations, karmas, simulacra, fear, experiences that you have accepted to have been real or true the way you recorded them in your system as you recorded them in this lifetime or any past lifetime, and that becomes the box that you live in, the operational environment that seems unchangeable. Does it make sense that part of your system will fundamentally, foundationally fear stepping outside of that box and freeing yourself, stepping outside of the dynamics of the collective, fearlessly, resolutely, intentionally, and consistently, and thus empower you to take the food, water, and materials for shelter to those who are in pain and need and are suffering in the world, simply because you've bought into an existing tribalized, unconscious social and economic paradigm that's broken, is killing the world, that humanity has bought into that so much so that it becomes unquestionable and seemingly unchangeable because we're unconscious in regard to it. It's in the wallpaper. It's transparent to our consciousness. So we pat ourselves on the back for being part of an excellent meeting or meditation or healing practice. And then the next day we go into work, we shift into our legs, our leg patterning, the influencing, the currents of the competitive for-profit organizations that we may operate within. And we turn into taproot feedy, egocentric, narcissistic, ruthless, controlling, fearful, encumbered, unconscious, non-creative drones without a capacity to change the trajectory of the planetary process for the good of all and for the good of the planet in service to spirit. I'm being brutal and direct, I hope, with these statements, and hopefully not unkind. This is the paradigm of humanity in a nutshell, in a microcosm. And just as this is a fractal process, meaning individuals operate this way, organizations, every for-profit organization has these same limitations built right into its foundation. And as do nations, and as do we all as a species. So if we don't become conscious of that and choose to tear ourselves free from it, gracefully, hopefully, willfully, absolutely, effectively and efficiently and catalytically, hopefully, and in the time available to us, and simultaneously remain consciously, collaboratively functional enough to work together to take constructive action. If we can't step out of the movie and recognize we are not the movie, we never have been, that's not who we are. We may have been previously tribally resonant and identified with it, and that cannot be a sustainable future for our species. In that movie is the Titanic, and the ship hits the ice and sinks, and a lot of people die. Is that a movie you want to be in? Is that your chosen movie? Is that, if we look at it from a dream vantage point, is that the dream you want to dream? Or do you want to change that dream for your well-being, for the collective well-being, for the planet's well-being, all sentient species well-being, and all future generations? That is an absolute choice. It's a complete choice. It's a choice you make from the ground up, from your feet, ankles, knees, hips, all of this previously hidden territory, hidden and previously overtly influential and undermining territory and derailing of conscious positive intention territory and dynamics. That is the choice that we're here to make. And we're hoping that all participants that would hear this would become willing to make, because that is the choice that will save humanity and our world.